At the end of 2024, I decided that I wanted to move from having reading lists in the back of my Hobonichi weeks to having a full reading journal where I talked about the books I was reading, books I hope to read, and to have it all in one place and to have a little bit more information such as stats. So let's go through what I changed for 2025 into my new reading journal. So just a bit of background. So in 2024, all I tracked was my purchases that I made for new books. I had a top of the TBR list, which is the books that I own physically that I really wanted to get to in the year. I listed out all of the books that I had read. My purchases spilled over, and then I listed out my physically owned TBR to mark off as I read it, or in this case, if I donated it, I marked it in a different color. I did toy with the idea of having a Kobo Plus list, which I started towards the end of 2024, and so that was all of it. That was all I tracked. This was a health journal and appointments and all that. It wasn't a reading journal. I just used the notes page in the back. So when I decided to go all out for a reading journal, I decided to set up a lot more spreads. So this is my 2025 reading journal. I did a cover page. It's just the first page of the notes at the back of the Hobonichi weeks. I did debate putting in a few reading goals just sort of listed out here, but I think most of them are pretty self-explanatory when you see the other spreads set up. So in the end, I just left it as a art page. So I kept the top of the TBR list. So in this, I have 25 books that I want to read this year that I own, that have been, not highly anticipated. I guess ones that I know I definitely want to read and I'm going to enjoy. Some of them I've had for a really long time, and so others I haven't had for quite as long. Revenge I haven't had for too long, whereas High King's Tomb has been on my top of the TBR list, I feel like, for the last 3 years. So I'm hoping this year to get these marked off as a priority. However, I made a new list for 2025 which I've called Last Chance Reads. So these are a list of books that I want to read this year, and if I don't, I plan to pass them along, to donate them. If I haven't read them by now, maybe I'm never going to ever get to them, or I'll pick them up at a later date. So this is a mixture though, so these aren't books that I want to get rid of necessarily. It's a bit of a mixture. There's ones where I've just thought I've had too long and it's just kind of hanging around. So Name of the Rose I picked up on a whim. It seems interesting. I want to read it, but it's not quite on the same level as, for example, like Ordinary Monsters. I really want to give that one a try. And Swan Thieves, I loved the Historian by the same author. It's a bit of a mixed bag. So there's a few that are like on the cutting block. They're like definite on their last chances. If I don't get to them, they have to go. They're just collecting dust. Someone else can enjoy them. So that's the two lists. I haven't updated this yet. So I have read my first book for 2025 already. So it's just going to be as in my previous year. It's just going to be a list of what I read, just so I can reference it. I gave myself a double page for purchases this year around, although I am aiming to purchase less books. Last year I bought a lot of e-books, but I'm hoping to focus on what I already own and only pick up books that I'm really looking forward to. But last year I thought I wasn't going to buy that much, gave myself one page and it spilled over to a new page, so I'm just gave myself the 2 pages. Quite like how this setup turned out as well. So I gave myself the Kobo Plus page. I haven't migrated that list yet from here. So the idea behind this is that sometimes I look for books on Kobo and it says, it's part of the Kobo Plus subscription, So I thought that maybe if I've got some, time off work coming up, I could subscribe and then like just go through the list. So, I've got a few titles, I've got a few authors that have quite a lot of books on there. So I just thought maybe I could focus, a few weeks on just reading Kobo Plus books, and then I could read those and I wouldn't have to purchase them all individually. This will just be books that I've heard of that I'm interested in. I do put a lot of them onto my Goodreads, like I just add them to my want to read, but that's got 900 books on it at the moment. That's just kind of like everything I've heard of that seems remotely interesting. This is just going to be something that maybe someone suggested to me, like a friend said I really enjoyed this. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind reading that. So I could just sort of keep it a little bit closer in my mind. So not too many though, because obviously I've got a lot to read already. I've filled in this next one, so I really enjoy reading Japanese translated fiction. So I've got a few that I've come across that are coming out in 2025, or maybe have just recently come out. This one I've only just discovered, and so I'm looking forward to picking up a few more Japanese translated fiction books this year. They're on my top of the TBR. I have a couple already. Got Tokyo Express, Revenge is one, Lonely Castle and the Mirror. There's 2 more coming out in that sort of companion series as well, which I've got one of them on here already. So yeah, I'm hoping. Oh, and Honeybees and Distant Thunder. There's a few on here. So I might have not given myself enough space for this one though with the giant sticker. This is a new sort of thing for me. I've seen a lot of people do this sort of spread, which is just the A to Z. So without trying in 2024, I had managed to sort of get each of the letters. So I'm just going to see how I go for 2025. And if it gets towards the last, few months of the year, there's only a couple to go, I might make an effort to fill it in. But I'm just interested to sort of see. It was just a fun little spread to do. Next up, I added a series tracker as well. I want to try and finish a lot of the series that I own and haven't completed. So these days I try to just buy the first book. If I like it, then I'll purchase the next one. But there was a time when you bought all the books in the series and they're all matching. So just to quickly go through them. So The Mirror Visitor, I actually have only got the one left, so it's on my top of the TBR. It's right on the top there. Storm of Echoes is the last book in the Mirror Visitor series. Green Rider, I own all of the ones that are out, including the little novella, but I've only read the first 2. Throne of Glass, I've gotten so close to the end, so I want to finish that one off. Same with Amelia Peabody. I have read 18 of the 20 books in the series, so I plan to finish that one out this year. Scholomance, that one, just the first one, but I own all 3. Same with the Old Kingdom. I think I only own the first 4, and I don't own the other 2. But I doubt I'll actually get through every single one of these this year, so I'm just going to see how I go. This is the start off with Atlas 6. So Atlas 6, so I'm up to Atlas Paradox. So I'm going to give those ones a go. These are a series of companion novels, which I really love. So there's another. Then there was like it's kind of like it's not even a companion. It's just like the same story, different perspective. And then there's another one that another one, and it's another 2001. I was really excited when I heard this one came out and got it imported from America and everything. So I'm hoping to finish off that one. Harry Potter is a reread. My sister and I are doing a read through of the series. I got to one of them last year, so I'm hoping just to continue on. She's ahead of me. I think she's hit Order of the Phoenix, perhaps. She's in Order of the Phoenix, so I've got a bit of catching up to do. And then Lady Helen and the Dark Days Club is a last one. I really enjoyed the first one when I read it, but it was so long ago now, and I've got all 3, so I'm hoping to finish those off. There's a lot of other series that I'm in the middle of, but these are the ones that I'm hoping to focus on for 2025. So one of the things that I do is I list out all of my physically owned to be read books. So I own them, they're on my shelves, but I have not read them. And that list was looking a little bit overwhelming, because within that I also listed my Agatha Christie books. I have her full complete works in a matching set, and I'm just sort of, you know, working my way through them as I go. So I haven't marked them off which ones I've read just yet, but I'm hoping to go through that in a little bit and see which ones I've still got left. So I took those out of my TBR list and just made them their own list. So yeah, I haven't. This was a last minute addition. I caught up with a friend and we exchanged our journals so we could see what each other had done. And we were sort of talking about the bingo. And I wasn't going to do a bingo board because for me, you know, the idea I guess is to get the thing in a row, right? So what's the point of it? I could just choose quite easily 4 books and then go bingo. I would want to complete the entire board. So to make it a little bit more random, I actually chose my prompts from these TBR cards that I was gifted from my friend. So I went through and chose prompts that I would want to fulfill. Like there's a few where I was just like, you know, that's not really me. I've got like about 52 cards. So I chose out, how many is this, like 16? 4, 8, yeah, 16. So I chose out 16 prompts. So they're the prompts. And I put them on a little board. And then I'm just going to put a little sticker over the ones that I do and then write the books that I've read. I've actually selected one. I got my daughter to pick out a card and she, it was all random. She just selected a card and it was to read a murder mystery. So my second read for this year is going to be a murder mystery. And so that was the bingo prompt. So then because I am choosing from the cards, I don't get to choose which one from the board that I get. So where am I now? So murder mystery is right here in the middle. But then the next card could just give me, you know, read a book with more than 500 pages, which isn't on, you know, any of the other rows. So the randomization is what I wanted more. So I kind of like how that sort of came to be. And then my last pages are my TBR. So these are all the books I own that I have not read yet, that eventually one day I hope to read. I'm really hoping in 2025, one of my goals is to not only focus on all the books that I own, but that if I'm not enjoying it, and I don't think I'm going to enjoy it in the future, then to pass it along. I want to create some more space in my house and on my bookshelves. So a lot of these, you know, I've owned, since I only bought 4 physical books last year, I've owned a lot of these for 2, 5, 10 plus years. So I think it's really time to sort of give my shelves a refresh. So I want to, you know, read the ones I'm interested in, pass along ones that I'm not so interested in, and just keep my favorites. So I think it was about 200 books. So what I did was these are just in order of what they are really on my shelves. So a lot of the ones that I'm more interested in tend to fall on this page, and then as it goes, they're just grouped by like, so you'll see that then, you know, I get a lot of my Japanese translated fictions appearing. It's all just kind of grouped. So from here on, this is also my unread ebooks. I decided in the end to include them because there's a high chance this year that I'm going to read mostly ebooks. I would say last year, 95%, 99 even maybe % of my books that I read were on my Kobo. So even though this year I want to read my physical books, the reality is that I'll probably also pick quite a lot from my ebooks. So I wanted to be able to cross them off. I've left this gap on this side so I can use my stencil and I can put in my star rating when I read them. So here I will just highlight, I've read it, star rating, or highlight a different color, I DNF'd it, it's been donated. Just keeping it pretty simple. And then after all those pages, I'm hoping just to do a quick small cover and then, you know, thoughts on the book. I'm hoping to get 3 per page. And I think that gives me enough space for quite a lot of books. So just coming back to the beginning of the journal, so my other aim was, I mean, I could have put all those lists in the back of just my normal Hobonichi weeks that I carry around. So I wanted to do a little bit more this year with all the pages of the journal. So as I go along the calendar, I've put a dot for every day that I have actually read. So far, 6 out of 6 days. Well, I mean, we're on the 7th today, but I'm hoping to read today. I did toy with the idea here of putting in how many pages I have read, but because I read a lot of ebooks, I was putting the percentage because I haven't yet figured out a way to mark how many pages the percentage translates to, because, you know, if you change the font on an ebook, you know, suddenly I'm reading a 1,000 page book, which is not the case. It's like a 300 page book. I've just got giant font. So I'm still debating about that. Because I note down how much I've read, I can always come and backfill this when I figure it out. So moving on. So my weeklies are going to hopefully continue to look something a little bit like this. So we started on the 1st. I did debate. I was like really tempted to start in December, but I was like, no, just wait and stick to the year. So in this sort of little section, I am putting in what I've read and what. So I started reading God of the Woods by Liz Moore on the 1st. You know, at the end of the day, I had finished 4%, 8%, 25. So I'm just sort of keeping a tally of how far I've gotten each day. And then at the moment I don't really have a plan. I just wanted to put in here, you know, my thoughts of the book, obviously, but also sort of extra thinking about the book. It's kind of hard to explain. So for example, this one, you know, I bought this book last year and I did start reading it, but I realized it was going to be one that I really enjoyed, and I wanted to sort of wait until I could take my time and enjoy it a lot more, so I put it off. So I made a note about that. So it's not just the book itself that I'm writing about, it's my experience with obtaining it, or you know, like, did I get it from a friend? Did I buy it when I was overseas? Or, you know, why did I think I wanted to read it? You know, what was appealing about it? Just all random thoughts about it. And I wanted to decorate a little bit, so I've drawn a little picture of my Kobo because it's an ebook. And I've got a lot of stickers. I wanted to start using them up a little bit. And so I was thinking to decorate. So I can fill in now my Monday page, because so by the end of 2025, I'm hoping to have a full journal of all of the books that I have read. I'm hoping to have ticked off 50 books from my physical TBR. I'm hoping to have moved on some books that I don't love. I'm hoping to find a lot of books that I do really love. And I would like my owned TBR to be a lot less.